The idea that people who love organizing their homes are simply obsessive or rigid really misses the psychological depth of what's actually happening. Dismissing them as control freaks isn't just inaccurate, it actually blinds us to one of the most natural ways the human mind restores balance. Why do some people feel deeply calm when organizing their home? The answer isn't about neatness, it's about control, clarity, and emotional stability. In human psychology, organizing is often how the brain restores order when life feels uncertain. When the world outside feels unpredictable, the mind looks for tangible evidence of structure. Every folded shirt, every clean corner, every aligned book sends a subtle but powerful signal. Things are manageable, and that signal matters more than most people realize. Why does cleaning feel peaceful on a neurological level? Cleaning and arranging are not random behaviors. They actually engage the brain in a way that reduces cognitive overload. Visual clutter competes for attention. Even if you believe you're ignoring the mess on your desk, your brain is still processing it. Unfinished tasks and disorganized environments create what psychologists call attentional residue. Part of your mind remains preoccupied. When someone organizes a room, they're not just tidying objects, they're reducing background stressors. Studies in environmental psychology show that decluttering can lower cortisol levels, reduce anxiety, and even improve focus. There's also evidence that completing small visible tasks can trigger dopamine release. That small reward signal reinforces the behavior. So when someone says cleaning makes them feel good, that's not dramatic. It's neurochemical. The brain registers completion and order as rewarding. But there's more happening than just dopamine. Organizing, it's often a response to uncertainty. The psychology of people who love cleaning really centers around this one key theme: restoring predictability. Human beings are just deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty. When life feels unstable, maybe because of work stress, relationship tension, or even just internal confusion, the brain starts looking for patterns it can control. Organizing becomes this immediate pattern-restoring action. You get to decide where something belongs. You create categories. You define boundaries. And by doing that, you create a little microenvironment where cause and effect are clear. You act, and something changes visibly. That visible feedback loop, it's actually really stabilizing. For some people, this habit starts pretty early. If they grew up in, let's say, chaotic households, structure starts to feel like safety. A clean, orderly home later in life isn't about impressing anyone. It's about reclaiming a sense of control that once felt totally absent. It's not about perfectionism, it's about regulation. Control isn't the villain people often think it is. Modern pop psychology tends to frame control as unhealthy, but control, in moderate form, is actually essential for psychological well-being. It's connected to autonomy and agency. So, when someone chooses to organize their home, they're really exercising control in a constructive way. The real difference between healthy organizing and anxiety-driven compulsion comes down to flexibility. A psychologically grounded person can tolerate a bit of temporary disorder. They might prefer order, but they're not thrown off by a little mess. On the other hand, when organizing gets really rigid and is fueled by panic, that's when it shifts into distress management. Most people who love arranging their space fall into the healthy category. They're not chasing flawlessness, they're creating clarity, and clarity is calming. It's like the quiet therapy of structure. There's something almost meditative about cleaning. The repetitive motion of wiping surfaces, folding laundry, or arranging shelves creates rhythm. The nervous system responds really well to predictable physical movement. This is why activities like walking or knitting can feel soothing. Cleaning works in a similar way. It becomes a quiet form of therapy, turning chaos into calm. Unlike abstract problem-solving, organizing offers concrete progress. You can see before and after. You can actually measure improvement. That sense of transformation, even in small doses, reinforces emotional balance. For individuals who struggle with racing thoughts, physical organizing often slows mental noise. It channels attention into the present moment. The brain shifts from rumination to action. That shift alone can reduce anxiety significantly. Why it's often linked to emotional transitions. People tend to clean intensely during life changes. After a breakup, before a new job, during grief. These are moments when identity feels unstable. Organizing becomes symbolic reordering. You're not just clearing drawers. You're redefining your space in alignment with who you're becoming. From a psychological standpoint, physical environments are extensions of identity. When someone declutters after a painful chapter, they're reducing environmental triggers linked to memory. Objects carry associations. Removing them decreases emotional activation. That's not symbolic in a poetic sense. It's neurological. The brain ties memories to sensory cues. Changing the cues changes the response. For some, organizing during transition is a way of saying, "This space now reflects my next version." There's a link between safety and space. For many people, loving a clean home is less about aesthetics and more about safety. A predictable environment lowers hypervigilance. You know where things are. You know what to expect. There are fewer sudden stressors. If your internal world feels overwhelming, your external world becomes your anchor. This is why some individuals feel deeply unsettled in cluttered spaces. Their nervous system reads disorganization as unpredictability. When everything has a place, the mind relaxes. It's not dramatic, it's biological. And it's especially powerful for those who value stability. They may not articulate it this way, but structure equals security in their psychological framework. The creativity paradox. Interestingly, research suggests that while mild disorder can sometimes enhance creative thinking, sustained clutter increases stress and reduces cognitive efficiency. People who love organizing often report that once their environment is clear, their thinking becomes sharper. Decluttering creates mental space. When your desk is clean, your brain isn't juggling irrelevant stimuli. You have more bandwidth for problem solving and creativity. That clarity feels expansive. For these individuals, cleaning is not avoidance of meaningful work. It's preparation for it. They're building a foundation for focus. When it becomes about identity and self-respect, another layer often overlooked is dignity. Maintaining an organized space can reflect how someone values themselves. When you invest effort into your environment, you're sending yourself a message. I deserve a functional, peaceful space. That message accumulates over time. Environmental psychology consistently shows that surroundings influence mood and self-perception. Living in intentional spaces reinforces intentional behavior. Over time, this shapes identity. Someone who regularly maintains their home often internalizes the belief that they are capable and responsible. The behavior reinforces the narrative. That reinforcement feels grounding. Understanding yourself through this habit. If you're someone who loves organizing, it's worth asking what emotional function it serves for you. Is it clarity, relief, stability, competence, safety? Understanding the purpose transforms the habit from something automatic into something conscious. You can then use it intentionally rather than reactively. And if you live with someone who prioritizes order more than you do, recognizing the emotional dimension changes the conversation. It's not about towels being folded the right way. It's about what structure represents psychologically. When we understand that organizing is often a strategy for emotional balance, judgment turns into empathy. Because at its core, the psychology of people who love cleaning and arranging things isn't superficial. It's not about appearances, it's about internal regulation. It's about restoring order when life feels uncertain. It's about creating a space where the mind can breathe. Every folded shirt, every aligned book, every cleared surface is a small act of self-stabilization, and that's deeply human. If you value this kind of psychological depth, where everyday habits reveal the architecture of the mind, subscribe to It's All Psychological. Share this with someone who thinks their love of organizing is just a quirk. The more we understand behavior at this level, the less we shame it, and the more consciously we can use it to build emotional balance in our own lives.